If you love backpacking, then chances are eventually you're going to plan a trip for yourself that's going to require you to hop on a plane and travel to your destination through the air. Putting your backpack through the checked baggage process can seem a little bit daunting, but it's really not that big of a deal. And in this video, I'm going to show you 2 methods that I've used in the past to prepare my backpack for air travel. In addition, a number of the items that backpackers take with them are on the TSA restricted list. So I'm going to walk through which items belong in your check bag, which items belong in your carry-on, and which items you can't take with you at all. So let's get rolling. The first method I use is to use a blue Ikea storage bag. These are pretty inexpensive. You can get a 2-pack on Amazon for under $16, and they're the perfect size for fitting your backpack. I'll put a link to Amazon in the description so you can check these out for yourself. These are lightweight and only 6.6 ounces on my scale, and the material is super tough. To use it, you just fully pack your backpack like normal, and you just stuff it in the blue Ikea bag, you zip it up, and you're all set. There are several reasons why I like these blue Ikea bags. The first is the durability of the fabric. It's just so tough. It's super tough, and I've flown with the same exact blue bag multiple times, multiple connecting flights, and the thing's holding up awesome, not getting damaged at all. The second thing I like about them is the strength and durability of the zipper. I'm thinking, you know, a $8 bag, what the zipper is going to just collapse in like 2 seconds, but it did not. The zipper holds up really well. It's quite tough, and I've had no problems with the zipper at all. The next thing I like about it is if you flip it over on the back, there are 2 straps that you can use to carry it like a backpack. And these come in handy if you've got to lug the thing around, like say from your car to the baggage terminal, or if you've got to pick it up at the baggage claim and then you've got to haul it a long way. You put this on like a backpack and it makes lugging it around much, much easier. And the fourth thing I like is the fact it just stands out. It's a big blue bag that stands out when it's coming through that baggage claim. You can see it immediately when it comes off the belt, and you just run and grab it. Now, I have occasionally seen a few other people that use these bags for whatever reasons when they're traveling. So I would suggest putting your name tag on it for sure, and then maybe even some other identifying thing like a ribbon or something like that, just so it doesn't get mixed up. The downside to the Ikea bag is that you do have to carry it with you unless you've got somewhere to store it when you get to your destination. So the only time I use this method is if I'm going somewhere where I have a place to keep it. For example, if I'm gonna go on a week-long trip and then I rent a car, and I can just leave the bag in the rental car. Otherwise, if I don't have anywhere to put it, I just don't take it with and I use my other method. It's not all that heavy and it's not all that bulky, so you could put it in your backpack for the duration of your trip and then put your pack back in it to go on the plane when you get done. The second method, and the one I use the most, is just to simply bundle up my backpack all by itself and treat it just like a suitcase in the baggage area. So let's take a look at how I prep my backpack for air travel. The first thing I do is just make sure there's nothing on the outside of my pack. So something like trekking poles or carabiners or my camp shoes that might normally be hanging off my pack when I'm traveling, those have to come off and go inside my pack. The next thing I do is make sure there are no straps hanging off at all, because I don't want those getting caught on the conveyor belt through the baggage system and either tearing off the belt or damaging it or something like that. So you got to make sure all your belts and straps are secured and not hanging off anywhere. So now I'll show you how I actually get my backpack prepared. The first thing I do is take the hip belt and I wrap it backwards around itself and then snap it into place. Then I take the shoulder straps and I cinch them down tight, and then I use whatever leftover straps are remaining and I kind of wrap it around so those are secure. From there, I find every single loose strap I can find on the pack and I snug them down, and then I tie them off or secure them in some way so there are no loose straps hanging off of the pack. Every backpack is going to be a little bit different with the strap situation, but the bottom line here is, as you can see, I try to make it so that no strap is hanging off more than about 6 inches. The nice thing is, once you get to the baggage claim and you pick it up, you just undo a couple of straps and you strap it on your back like you would carry your backpack normally, and it makes it very easy for transporting that thing wherever you need to around the airport. So this is the method I use most of the time, and it's used any time that I don't have anywhere to store that blue bag when I'm getting to my destination. I really prefer the second method of just strapping my pack together and shipping it off. It's just so easy and convenient. No wasted packaging, nothing like that. Super easy method to use. One method I'm going to touch on briefly that I don't use, I probably will never use, but I've heard some people try it, is they take their entire backpack as a carry-on on the plane. Now there's a couple reasons I don't like this idea for myself. And that is, first of all, many of the airplanes you're on aren't going to be big enough to fit an entire backpack in there in the overhead compartment unless you've got a really small ultralight pack. The second thing is there are quite a few items that are restricted that backpackers commonly carry with them that you can't even take as a carry-on. And that makes a great segue into the next section, which is a discussion on those restricted items. The good news is that most of the stuff that's in your pack is just fine. You can either check it or carry it on. It doesn't really matter. But there are a couple of commonly carried items by backpackers that do show up on the restricted items list. Now this list does change from time to time, so I do suggest going out to tsa.gov before you travel and taking a look at the list just to make sure that nothing's changed from the time that I made this video. Also, if you have a question about a specific item, you can easily look it up on the TSA page and it'll tell you whether that item is allowed or not, or if there's any type of restrictions on it. First, we'll start out with two things that you just simply can't bring at all. And those are a fuel canister or any type of fuel or bear spray. Those have to be left at home. If you want to get them there, you have to ship them by ground ahead of time to your destination. You cannot take those on a plane, not in your check bag, not in your carry-on. What most people do, and which is what I do most of the time, is I just buy those when I get to my destination. Now let's take a look at the things that you can have in your checked bag, but that you cannot take onto the plane on your carry-on with you. So that list is an ice axe, a knife, a saw, trekking poles, tent stakes, micro spikes, or crampons. Now, if you look at the TSA list, crampons are listed officially as generally accepted, but the TSA agent has the option to refuse it if they don't feel comfortable with it. So I'm thinking big metal object with sharp spikes on it, I'm not going to take any risk. I think that kind of thing, you'd be better off just to put it in your check bag. Now let's take a look at items that belong in your carry-on that you cannot put in your check bag. The first is a lighter. Now it seems a little odd that you'd be able to put a lighter on the plane, but you do need to put that in your carry-on. You can technically put it in your check bag if it's in a sealed DOT approved safety container, but you know, what backpacker has that? So just throw it in your carry-on and be done with it. So the next item is matches, and you cannot have those in your check bag. Now some backpackers have a little container, waterproof, that holds a couple of matches in case of emergency. If you're one of those folks, you gotta have those in your carry-on. Do not put those in your checked baggage. Next is your charger or power bank. Those cannot be checked. They have to be in your carry-on. Most hikers these days are carrying some sort of a power bank, and if you have one, just take it with you on the plane. And the last thing I'll mention are spare batteries. So for example, if you have a camera and it's got a battery in it, that can go either spot. It can be checked, it can be in your carry-on. But if you have spare batteries that go along with your camera that are separate, they need to be with you on the plane in your carry-on. So the whole topic of batteries is one I did a little extra research on, because if you think about it, a lot of the stuff that we have as backpackers has like a built-in lithium battery. Examples would include, say, your headlamp, your phone, your camera, your Garmin InReach. All those things have a built-in lithium battery. So how does that work? Because that's got a battery. Does it need to be in my carry-on bag? Well, the answer is no. It can be either checked or it can be in your carry-on. As long as the battery is built into it, it can go either way. The one thing to keep in mind though is if you have spare batteries for any of those items, those do have to go in your carry-on luggage. So one piece of gear that I always like to use when I'm traveling by air is a fanny pack. In fact, I'm wearing this on the trail all the time as well. It's a great way for you to take all of those carry-on items that you're required to have with you on the plane. You just toss them in your fanny pack and you're good to go. It's actually the only piece of carry-on luggage that I ever take with me when I'm on an airplane is my fanny pack. The other thing I like about this thing is you always keep your ID, your cash, your credit cards, your phone, all that really important stuff like that. You keep that in your fanny pack so no matter what happens, your bag gets lost, it gets stolen, whatever, you always have that critical stuff on you and you can never lose it. So I suggest trying out a fanny pack. My son says it makes me look goofy, but I don't care. I'm using a fanny pack. Whenever you're going on a backpacking trip or you're flying somewhere, that can be an exciting time. You're probably going to just an awesome place to go on a trip. And hopefully by taking a look at this stuff, I help you understand the best way to get your backpack from point A to point B safely and securely and in compliance with TSA standards. And again, like I mentioned before, these things do change a little bit from time to time, so be sure to go out and check tsa.gov before your trip and make sure there's no new rules that got put out there. I hope you have a great time on whatever trip you're planning, and air travel with a backpack really isn't that big of a deal. I found it to be pretty simple and easy. And as always, if you found any value in this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks, and we'll see you out on the trail.